All the engines who were in the train show soon were ready. They were about to do the demonstration for all the people. Duke was on the narrow gauge railway, so he took some passengers to the narrow gauge. Henry and James were taking Thomas and Gordon's coaches back to the yards. They arrived at Knapford Station to drop off the passengers and soon took them to the coach shed. The engines soon puffed to the roundhouse, where they found some other engines talking. The engines who worked at the quarry were there, along with Stanley, Charlie, Flora, Arthur, Percy, and Darren. Meanwhile, the other engines were coming past to go to the demonstration part of the train show. So all the engines were soon leaving Alstead Castle as they picked a partner to do the demonstration with. All the engines waited at Knapford Station for the instructions of what to do as they talked around. Gordon, the Flying Scotsman, Thomas, and Ryan were talking, when all of a sudden the passengers arrived on Bulgy the bus. He had brought the last of the passengers so they could finally start the demonstration. Thomas and Ryan had grabbed Annie and Clarabelle and were ready to start. Stephen, Harvey, Gator, and Samson were doing freight demonstrations since they were freight engines. Connor, Caitlin, Gordon, Flying Scotsman, Thomas, and Ryan were pulling some passengers. Gordon and the Flying Scotsman got the express coaches and pulled it away. And Connor and Caitlin got their coaches and filled them up with lots of passengers, and soon they puffed away to take the passengers. Stepney, Duck, and Buller were going along the line to go to the docks. They soon arrived. They saw Porter there. "Ah, hi, Porter," huffed Stepney. "Oh, hi, Stepney," huffed Porter. Meanwhile, the engines were working hard as they were taking passengers around. Gator and Samson were taking some dairy cars and soon crashed, and Harvey had to clean up the milk. "Don't cry over spilled milk, laughed Harvey. But Gator and Samson were upset because they crashed into each other on the points. "So that's Toby, Buller." "Oh, that's nice," huffed Buller. Soon they puffed away. "Goodbye, Buller," huffed Toby. They soon went to the big part of the docks. Murdoch was there, and Rosie was at the back side. Molly and Emily were pulling a freight train because they had to work with the docks reporter for a while since they got in trouble for doing stuff at the docks. So that's Cranky, and then this is Colin. They're the two cranes. Okay, huffed Buller. Now this is a lovely island. The engines puffed off to take Buller to the quarry next. Meanwhile, at the quarry, Diesel, Airy, and Bert were there, supposed to be working, but they were actually plotting. All of a sudden, they heard an engine coming. "That sounds like Stepney and Duck." When Stepney and Duck pulled in, they saw that Diesel, Airy, and Bert were there. They huffed. Buller was with them, and they did not want Buller to become friends with the Diesels and become a bad Diesel. So Stepney whispered to Duck, "We better leave now before he gets to meet him." "Yeah," huffed Duck. The Diesels were whispering, meanwhile, about him as the engines pulled away quickly. They puffed up into Alstead Castle. "So here is Alstead Castle," huffed Duck and Stepney. "It's one of the most important parts, maybe, of the island. I don't know, but the engines were here earlier. Where are they now? Isn't the train show here?" "Oh, actually, they're down in the yards." "Oh, really?" huffed Buller. "Oh, why are they down there?" he asked. "Oh, well, they're down in the yards because they're doing a demonstration, and some of them are taking pastures, and some of them are shunting and pulling trucks," huffed Stepney. "So, yeah, so you think we can go down there?" asked Buller. like, go to the yards to see him demonstrate? Okay, Stepney. I guess so. I mean, we have nothing better else to do. Me and Duck don't have real lives. So, instead of just going to, cry in our sheds that we have no other friends, let's just go down there with you. So the engines puffed away as they went down to the yards. Right behind them, Thomas and Ryan puffed with Annie and Clarabelle towards the docks. Henry, James, Charlie, and Stanley had soon puffed into the sheds, while Duck, Stepney, and Buller had arrived at the yards. So this is Stephen. Oh, wait, are those the engines over there? Oh, yes, puffed Stepney. It's okay if we go see him. All right, puffed Stepney. So he puffed away as the engines were puffing over to Knapford to see the other engines who were in the train show. Gordon and the Flying Scotsman were on their way to Knapford Station after almost completing a full lap around the island, while Thomas and Ryan were waiting for them to pass while talking to Cranky. They had to go to Knapford too. They were just taking the other way, while Gordon and the Flying Scotsman went down the branch line way, while Thomas and Ryan went down the main line way. They soon puffed by the sheds and puffed into Knapford Station. Hello. Buller, and I looked over. There were some engines. There's some engines. Flying Scotsman, Ryan? I've seen him before. Meanwhile, Gordon and the Flying Scotsman were whispering to each other. Do you think this diesel might be bad? Huffed Gordon. I mean, I don't know if this diesel could be bad or good. I mean, he looks like bad news to me. He kind of reminds me of a Diesel 10, which I don't know if you know who Diesel 10 is, but he was this engine with the claw. I think I've seen him before. He does kind of remind me of him. But, I don't know if he's good or bad. Huffed the Flying Scotsman. You know what? We probably shouldn't discuss it when he's here. Anyways, I need to fill up my tenders, so, we should go fill them up. Alright, the engines puffed away. Buller saw his chance and tried to run into them. Ow, huffed Gordon. What was that for? He huffed. You just knocked us off the rails, huffed the Flying Scotsman. Oops, sorry. The mess was soon cleared up, and Gordon and the Flying Scotsman left to go fill up their tenders, while Buller was evolving a plan. I will have my day. Meanwhile, the next day, Gordon and the Flying Scotsman told Henry and James at Ulstead Castle about it. He seems like bad news. You're right. It does sound like that. He tried to run you off the rails, and then he reminds you of Diesel 10. That's just all bad, huffed James. Yeah, huffed the Flying Scotsman. Also, guess what me and Gordon found out? Apparently we're brothers. You're brothers, huffed Henry? Yeah, Thomas and Ryan are brothers too. I mean, they look just alike. Wow, I mean, it's the not-so-secret life of the steamies. Yeah, and the Diesels, on the other hand. That Diesel seemed nice, but I feel like he's bad news. Then it's a not-so-secret life for the Diesels, huffed James. You're right, James. I'm scared that this new Diesel might do some dangerous things to you guys, huffed the Flying Scotsman. Well, at least you don't work on Sodor, huffed Henry, where he's probably going to take over. The engine sat there wondering, was this engine good or was he bad?